Absolutely. Anna, as you can imagine, the prosecution wasn't so willing to quickly go along with the notion of releasing Sean Combs immediately. In fact, they said that this, what he has been found guilty of, it says, carries substantial penalties. In fact, they said, I'm reading here, the maximum is 20 years, and they intend to seek the maximum on this. In addition, they're saying they want to hold off on releasing him because he hasn't even been sentenced yet. However, the judge has then chimed in and saying he's not going to resolve it in the second. In fact, he has said by 1 o'clock he wants a letter from both the prosecution and the defense in terms of what would be the appropriate thing to do for him to consider that. And he says he understands that Mr. Combs does not want to go back to detention, and there was a note here saying that Sean Combs was nodding his head in agreement. He does not want to go back into detention. So he said, essentially, I'm reading, he said you should wait here in the courthouse. They have the whole day, as much as the verdict has come down so early in the morning. He's saying, I'm not going to send you back to detention just yet. Just cool your heels, if you will, here in the courthouse, and we'll find out what he hears and sees in the letters from both the prosecution and the defense. The judge is going to make a decision based on that. Hannah?
Lisa, what factors will the judge be considering in determining whether to grant bail for Sean Diddy Combs?
Well, one of the things he just asked prosecutors was, give me an example where somebody who's convicted solely on these transportation to commit prosecution charges has nonetheless been held in detention while they are awaiting sentencing. And the prosecutor says back to him, Your Honor, I can cite to you some examples where the victims being transported are children. I don't have any examples at the top of my head involving adults. She then asks for some time to prepare a letter. That's code for the U.S. Attorney's Office is going to go back to their office, do some legal research, and see if they can substantiate why it is under the law they have a right to request that Sean Combs remain in detention.
But with him being a threat potentially to the victims who testified against him or anybody else who testified against him,
they have not said that expressly, but if you think about the dangers that each of the women who are the primary victims fell prey to again and again, and then you multiply that by all of the other witnesses in this case, people who were former personal assistants to Sean Combs, who at great cost to themselves were subpoenaed to come forward to give testimony they didn't necessarily want to give. Cassie Ventura just gave birth to another child. She is a mother of a newborn now, and while she does have monetary compensation from her civil suit against Sean Combs, which was, I should say also, what led to the federal investigation is that Cassie Ventura's allegations against Sean Combs were public on a docket in the Southern District of New York for 24 hours before Sean Combs paid her out. She's gotten her payday, and theoretically, she can afford some private security. But if you don't think that Cassie Ventura and Jane Doe and a woman we know only as Mia, who was one of Sean Combs' former personal assistants and testified that he raped her and plied her with drugs, even made her try drugs that were meant for some of these other women to make sure they were good, if you don't think these people are now going to be terrified, then you have another thing coming and you didn't listen to the testimony.